Have you got a light, my friend?
I'm fine. Absolutely fine. Off you go. Be gone, human.
Take it steady, you know.
Regrets, I've had a few, but then again, to future mention, I did what I had to do. I saw it through without exemption. I planned each giant course, each careful step along the highway, and much more than this. I'm getting my wine.
When we pick up with Blaze at the start of the series, when we first see him, he's not in a very good place. His detective agency in LA, Blaze Incorporated, has been around for quite a few years. He's helped a lot of people with supernatural, mysterious elements in their life that some would say are unnatural. Blaze has a way of mixing with the supernatural, being a vampire himself. He has that connection to the demonic world, but also still has connections to the real world within his partners he works with. Bernard is his main friend, you could say, even though they have a bit of a secretary hero dynamic. At the core of it, they're kind of best friends. When we pick up the story, Blaze is in LA in the year 2024. He has been at the top of his game. He thinks he's unstoppable, and then something happens and he gets accused of a crime he didn't commit, which forces his hand to return to his home city of Winnipeg in the UK. The story picks up from there, but through flashback we find out more of Blaze's backstory. We find out how he got the name Blaze. I also have plans on seeing how he became a vampire, if we can do stuff like that. We're kind of coming up with ideas and ways we can show Blaze becoming a vampire's origin, but we're not starting with the origin. It's more of we're throwing you straight into the middle of this story. Pretty much the story picks up when he comes back to Winnipeg City, but you do see a little bit of past LA stuff in there too. I know there's a great sequence right at the start of what we're calling at the moment episode 0, but that might change. It's almost like a prequel, but classes as the first episode, where we see Blaze in LA. We see how he comes back to Winnipeg City, and we see what kind of mindset he's in almost when he returns to Winnipeg. So when we do pick up with Blaze, he's a very guarded, broody version of himself, which goes along with a lot of vampires you see on TV, like Angel, Moonlight, the CBS series from mid-2000s, 2011 I believe. So we are drawing inspiration off a lot of different vampire characters to make the original canon of Blaze. As for the mythology of Blaze, we do go alongside what is heavily known about vampires in media. However, we are changing some of it. So, for instance, yes, Blaze has no reflection. Yes, a stake through the heart can kill him, but he doesn't burst into flames when he goes into the sunlight. It just makes him very unwell if he's in it for prolonged states of time. So say if he's in the sun for 10 minutes, he'll feel unwell and it'll be horrible to him, but he won't necessarily die. If he's in it for about 3 hours, then of course his body would start to burn away, start to die. So there's that interesting way that we can tell stories set in the daytime, but also have a bit of a threat to the character of, okay, he can, go and interview someone on a shop that is open from 6 a.m. till 5 p.m. at night, something like that. But there's also that jeopardy of if he gets stuck somewhere for a prolonged amount of time in the sun, then that is game over. I wanted to move away from the version of vampires that are kind of not necessarily evil, but those sort of vampires that are heartthrobby, teenage kind of lusty vibe, like the romantic side of vampires. Like, I'm trying to write Blaze as it is not fun to be a vampire, nor is it fun to be around a vampire. You will get hurt, bad things do happen, and a vampire's true nature is always burrowing at the surface, so Blaze has to try harder than, say, Angel from the TV show, who has a soul, who has to do good. He has to really fight his nature of being evil and wanting to drink people's blood. So there's that twist inside himself. There's that kind of like pull where he could go down a dark path if he wanted to, but he has to really try not to, because he knows the good that he can do in the world far outweighs the bad. Blaze has a very colourful past. He has done a lot of terrible things, which he, in his own way, regrets. When he's been a terrible, horrible vampire. A lot of vampires fear Blaze, and a lot of demons do, because of how dark and how horrible Blaze truly was in the past. So he's always having to try and fight his nature. It's like magnets pulling at magnets. Like, he could go down a really dark path if he chose to, but he has these people like Bernard or his organisation that push him in the right direction. All these people that he helps, he knows he can do more for the world helping people than he can terrorising people in the world. How he came to that realisation and what changed his nature, that will be shown, that will be delved into as we progress through the story. But the true origin of how he got the nickname Blaze, the scene as I wrote it in the script, it was very emotional. I had to chop and change and really try and just get to the basic core of this dude is a hero to many, but at one time in his life he was a villain to everybody. But you also have to make that character sympathetic, and I think what makes Blaze very sympathetic to the audience is the fact that, like a lot of people in the world, especially like the point the new Superman movie tries to make, is in a world where everyone is unkind, where people tell lies for sport, where people are feeling like they have to lash out or be horrible to people, Blaze could be like that, but he decides not to be. It is a choice. It's not a curse. It's not something mystical. He chooses to help people in a world where people would just walk by if someone was in danger because of self-preservation. Blaze doesn't much care whether he lives or dies, in a way where if someone else survives and he has to die to save them, then that is a sacrifice he would make without thinking twice about himself. However, he does think about the world a lot, so a lot of the choices he makes, he does think long term. So yes, if the situation called for it, he would sacrifice his life for somebody to save them, but on a separate note, he will also think of long term, if I die saving this person, how many more will die without me? So I think that's what makes the character so complex, is he really has to try and fight that true demonic side of him, that nature that just wants to cause absolute mayhem, because that is what a vampire and a demon really, in most media, that's how they are shown to be. Evil. Blaze kind of breaks that stereotype, which is what I kind of wanted. As for the character of Blaze himself, he's not your typical vampire, and to elaborate on that more, it's not like he's a bloodlusting, terrible person who was given no choice in life but to be a monster. He, in his past, without spoiling anything for the series, he chose to be the bad guy. It was never something that was forced upon him. he was turned into a vampire, and he slowly started to realize, you know what, I actually enjoy this. I enjoy terrorizing people. I enjoy doing what I do. And then something happens in his life, which we will explore in the series, which changed his outlook on life and on himself. And he really went through, or I say goes through from your point of view, a really tough battle inside himself, which still continues through the series to this day. Which I think will definitely push the stories, especially when he deals with corrupt police officers, other demons that try and bring him down to their level. So that is definitely what pushes the story of the character. With episode 0, which is kind of a prequel, but at the moment in time, I am not too sure whether it will be episode 1 or a prequel as I'm recording this. However, in that first episode, I've tried to do a different style, a different stylistic point. As you know, it's filmed in black and white to give it that noir detective kind of feel. However, a lot of the first episode is voiceover, which essentially entails we see what's happening on screen, but there's not much dialogue between characters. It's all 90% of it is from Blaze's mindset, what he's thinking in his head, kind of like he's telling you the story of what happened after it happened. So I'm really interested to see how that unfolds with audiences and with our subscribers, because with Flash and Captain America, you're constantly bouncing dialogue off different people. You've got Whitehawk, Captain America, you've got Arrow, Fife, Flash, all bouncing off each other. But the first episode, even though it has other characters in it, is kind of a insight into how Blaze thinks, how when he goes away from a case, how he kind of tells it from his point of view in his own head. I think it's better watched and explained, but the style of it is very unique to me, telling a story pretty much through voiceover. Even though, like I said, there is points in that episode where he does talk to other characters, but I like how that's going, where it's more voiceover, but that will not be for every episode. The scripts go along the more of a kind of solid format, which I'm used to writing, but I wanted to do something different for that one, so I'm very interested to see how you guys react to that first episode. Blaze is our first original project. By that I mean it is not a fan film. It is not me dressing up as Captain America and playing Captain America. This is not me playing Barry Allen. This is a character I've created myself using various different sources to bring this character together. He is a mix of a lot of different characters from vampire mediums, from TV shows, all melded together to make my original character. The way he dresses is very influenced by David Boreanaz in Angel and Spike in Angel. That typical kind of leather jacket, simple dress, jeans, jumpers, shirts, a lot of plain clothes, just to give that kind of dark element to it, as opposed to some other characters who wear more like whiter colours in black and white. It is our first original project where it is not based on anything directly. It is kind of my own take on vampire mythology, kind of my own original spin on it. So it is original, and writing stories for characters that I've created, and giving those to the actors and saying, like, there is no reference really for this character. Like, you can't go online and search Stephen Amell Green Arrow to see how to play the Green Arrow, or Melissa Benoist as Supergirl, or Millie Alcock Supergirl, to see how to play that character. It's kind of open to interpretation of what these actors do with it based on my loose vision for these characters. So it has been a real challenge to create something from the ground up. With Captain America and The Flash, you had a basic story. You have TV shows, comics, animations to build off. You can just say, right, I'm putting that in from the TV show, I'm putting that in from the comic, we'll make something from that into an original story for Crimson. However, with this, it's kind of like, okay, I'll take elements of this show and what works on that show and write an original story around that kind of structure, in a way. So Blaze has been a big challenge. It's still a challenge. I've changed the backstory a couple of times because I've just had better ideas as it's gone along, which I think taking my time with it, unlike other projects, has definitely helped to create this universe and this world of Blaze. When it comes to writing a story like Blaze, you have to think, what is it I'm trying to say? What do I want to get across? How am I going to bring my own experiences or other people's experiences to this character to make it relatable for people so they can relate to these characters on a personal basis? And I think when you have an idea like this, you can't just say, okay, here's the character of Wally West. This is how he's portrayed. This is how he's always been portrayed. There's different versions of him. Mix them all together and you've got Crimsonverse Wally West. This time, it's more of, okay, I like the techie nerdiness of this character, but they also need this kind of vibe from this other person, from a completely different TV show or film, and you kind of have to find a way to meld them together and kind of say, we're not copying something that's already been, we're kind of homaging a lot of different things. Like Bernard is very much like Henry Fife, but without the superhero element. Blaze is very different to any other character I've written so far on the channel. He has elements of different characters I've played, elements that I like Constantine. He is foul-mouthed, smoking, drinking, pretty much a asshole. So Blaze has bits of that, like drinking, smoking, to cope and deal. However, that's not all he is. He is a vampire, so he can't really get drunk. Why does he drink if he can't get drunk? I think, from my point of view, he does it because the feeling of drinking and smoking is, to him, human. It reminds him of being human. It reminds him that he has human tendencies. He wants to smoke, he wants to drink, he wants to feel, he wants to love, he wants to experience what it's like to live with the humans and be human again. So I do think that he does certain things like smoke and drink because it reminds him and kind of fools him into thinking he's still on a basic level human, when in reality he's not. So why you should watch Blaze? It is a story of redemption, it is a story of kindness, it is a story of being an absolute badass, kind mother jugger in a world where people are happy to backstab you, where they are happy to lie to you, where they can be false. When people are being mean and horrible and the world is full of darkness, in the darkness there has to be some light, and Blaze, very aptly named, is the light in the dark. The fire that lights the darkest path, and that is Blaze. And that is why you should watch Blaze. It is a half an hour to 45-minute story about someone trying to do the best they can and be the best version of themselves in a world that tries to tell them not to be. And that is the core principle of the show. But what to expect? Expect action, expect fight scenes, expect detective dramas each week, expect heartfelt scenes, friendships, enemies become friends, friends become enemies, demons, vampires, anything you can imagine. Blaze is scheduled to release October 2025. We are hoping to release the episodes in the lead up to Halloween. However, over October it will be out, depending on production, but we are aiming for at least an episode or an episode a week to be out in October. What you can expect is detective drama, is well thought out plots, friends become enemies, enemies become friends, different spin on the vampire mythology, and basically a very fun, gritty, real story surrounded in that much mythology that you forget you are watching a serial killing vampire trying to do good in the world. I hope you all enjoy what we have coming out. We are currently finalising the script for more projects coming, such as Captain America, Marvel, DC, The Flash. All of that will be coming back. However, this Blaze project is very important to me as a writer and as a creator, to really stretch myself without another writer or another actor playing this role. As I've said before, you could watch hours of Grant Gustin playing The Flash and then mimic what he does with your own spin. This time Blaze is right from the ground up starting, so I hope you guys take to him straight away, and I hope that the hopeful, redeeming message of the show gets across. I want to say thank you to all of our subscribers, and all of the people in person who have helped us get where we are today. We're all a massive team and a family when it comes to Crimson Division, and I believe everyone does their bit, but I'm so thankful to not just the team I work with and the people I work with who are close friends. It is all of the people who actually watch our videos, that tune in even though we're not doing The Flash. No, it's to all of you that have stayed and stuck around and still support us to this day for any project that we do. You guys help us continue to do what we're doing, and certainly give me the hope and perseverance to keep going with the channel. So I want to say thank you to every one of those people who've supported us in real life and also just watching us at home. I'd like to give a shout out to Jonathan Ferrero too, of ENS Ferrero, for always doing our live reactions. I'd like to give a shout out to DNC, also known as Jacob, who voiced Neron. He's always comments on our posts, always there when we need him for voiceovers. Of course, my friend Scott Wollaston for being my partner on this thrill ride. Jeremy Whitehouse, who you guys will meet, for being a brilliant new addition to the Crimsonverse. Basically to everyone who has stuck around and allowed us to get to this point where we are on a roll and a stride with how we are making our films. You guys are legends, and everything that we make is for you, for your enjoyment, and I'm glad that you guys are enjoying it. So please make sure to like, comment, subscribe, share around anywhere you can. Everything is appreciated, just to help us get a little bit further up the ladder than we are. You are all amazing, and this is Liam Head, aka Blaze, and every other character in the Crimsonverse, signing off. Thank you for watching, thank you for listening.